Love is a complex emotion, and not everyone finds it easy to express their feelings, especially men who may struggle with fear of rejection, uncertainty, or simply not knowing how to put their emotions into words. While some guys openly admit when they're falling for someone, others keep their feelings hidden, hoping their actions will speak for them. If you've ever wondered whether a certain guy likes you but hasn't said anything, the truth might be in the subtle signs he gives off without realizing it. When a man is secretly falling for you, his behavior will change in ways he can't control. He may not come right out and say, "I like you," but his body language, attention, and emotional reactions will reveal his true feelings. He'll find excuses to be around you, listen intently when you speak, and remember small details about your life. Even if he tries to play it cool, his nervous energy, hidden jealousy, or the way he lights up when he sees you will tell you everything you need to know. One of the most telling signs is how he interacts with you compared to others. Does he get nervous when you're around? Do his friends tease him about you? Does he act differently when you mention other guys? These subtle but powerful cues often indicate that he has strong feelings, but isn't ready to say them out loud. He may hesitate because he's unsure if you feel the same way, or he may fear ruining the bond you already share. Men often express love in different ways, some through words, others through actions. If he secretly supports you, listens carefully, and goes out of his way to make your life easier, it's not just a coincidence. Even without a confession, his gestures reveal how much he truly cares. Whether he's stealing glances, struggling to express his emotions, or finding ways to spend more time with you, his heart is giving him away. In this guide, we'll explore 12 clear signs that a man is falling for you, but is too afraid to confess. By paying attention to these behaviors, you can gain insight into his true feelings and determine whether he's waiting for the right moment or just waiting for you to notice. If you've been wondering whether he sees you as more than a friend, these signs will help you uncover the truth hidden beneath his silence. 1. He steals glances at you. Often, when a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, one of the biggest signs is how often he steals glances at you. He may not openly stare, but you'll catch him looking at you when he thinks you're not noticing. It's an unconscious action that reveals his deep interest. His eyes naturally seek you out in a room, whether you're talking to someone else or just lost in your own world. Every time you look back at him, he might quickly shift his gaze away, pretending he wasn't looking in the first place. This kind of behavior is common when someone has feelings but is unsure about expressing them. He might be afraid of rejection, or maybe he's just waiting for the right moment to make his feelings known. Sometimes his stolen glances come with a soft smile, while other times he might seem completely flustered and try to act casual. If you ever lock eyes with him unexpectedly, he might look down, scratch his head, or pretend to focus on something else to cover up his emotions. You may also notice that when he's with friends, he still manages to find a way to look at you, even if he's engaged in another conversation. If you walk into a room, his eyes instinctively follow you, even if just for a second. It's his way of admiring you from a distance without making it obvious. These small yet meaningful glances show that you're constantly on his mind, even if he hasn't found the courage to put his feelings into words. His eyes give away what his lips are too afraid to say. 2. His friends tease him about you. When a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, one of the biggest giveaways is how his friends behave around him when you're mentioned. Friends often pick up on emotions and unspoken feelings before the person himself realizes them. If his friends tease him about you, It's a strong sign that they've noticed his interest and attraction toward you. You might hear them casually bringing up your name in conversation just to see how he reacts. If he blushes, smiles shyly, or gets defensive, that's a major clue that he has feelings for you. Sometimes, his friends may tease him in front of you, saying things like, "Why don't you just tell her already?" Or, "Oh, look, who's here? Your favorite person." His reaction to these comments can reveal a lot. If he laughs it off nervously or tells them to stop, it usually means he's trying to hide something. Another sign is when his friends suddenly act differently around you. They might start giving you knowing looks, whispering among themselves when you walk by, or even trying to push the two of you into situations where you spend more time together. If they encourage him to sit next to you or make jokes about you two being a cute couple, it's likely because they know he has feelings but is too afraid to say anything himself. In some cases, he might try to deny everything, saying things like, "We're just friends," or "Stop it, guys." But if his friends keep teasing him, it means they see something he's not admitting yet. His friends' playful teasing is often a reflection of his real emotions, even if he's not ready to say them out loud. 3. He gets nervous around you. When a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, nervousness is one of the biggest signs. Even the most confident person can become awkward when they have feelings for someone. If you notice that he suddenly acts differently around you compared to others, it's a strong indication that he's interested but unsure how to express it. He might fidget with his hands, play with his phone, or adjust his clothes when you're nearby. These small, unconscious actions show that your presence makes him self-conscious. You may also see him struggling to maintain eye contact. One moment he's looking at you, and the next he's quickly looking away as if he's afraid you'll catch on to his feelings. His voice may also change. He might stutter slightly, speak too fast, or even have a nervous laugh when talking to you. Another clear sign is how he behaves in group settings. If he's usually outgoing and talkative, but suddenly quiets down when you join the conversation, it means he's overthinking his words. He doesn't want to say the wrong thing or embarrass himself in front of you. On the other hand, some guys go in the opposite direction and try too hard to impress, cracking more jokes or talking louder than usual to get your attention. His nervousness can also show in physical ways. Maybe he accidentally drops things when you're around, bumps into objects, or blushes when you compliment him. If you notice him acting unusually anxious or fidgety only when you're around, it's because he has feelings for you but hasn't figured out how to express them yet. His nervous energy is proof that you mean more to him than he's willing to admit. 4. He listens to you more than anyone else. When a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, one of the most telling signs is how attentively he listens to you. Unlike casual conversations where people often get distracted, he gives you his full attention, making you feel heard and valued. Even in a group setting, he tunes in when you speak, reacting to your words more than anyone else's. You might notice that he remembers the small details you casually mention, like your favorite coffee order, a story about your childhood, or an important event coming up. Even if you said something weeks ago, he'll bring it up later, proving that he genuinely listens and stores your words in his memory. This shows that he values your thoughts and wants to understand you on a deeper level. Another sign is the way he responds during conversations. He doesn't just nod along absent-mindedly. He engages, asks follow-up questions, and reacts with genuine interest. If you're talking about something that excites or upsets you, his expressions and body language reflect your emotions. He might lean in closer, maintain eye contact, or even mirror your gestures without realizing it. Even in moments when others brush off what you say, he makes sure to acknowledge your words. If you mention a problem you're facing, he offers thoughtful advice or support, even if it's something small. When you speak, he doesn't interrupt or check his phone. He stays present because to him, your words matter. His ability to listen so attentively is not just a sign of good manners, it's a reflection of his feelings. He may not have the courage to say it out loud, but through his actions, he's showing that you hold a special place in his heart. 5. He finds excuses to spend time with you. When a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, he will always find ways to be around you. Even if he doesn't openly ask to spend time together, he'll create excuses to cross paths with you or extend conversations just a little longer. It's his way of staying close without making it obvious that he has feelings for you. You might notice that he suddenly starts showing up in places where you are, even if it seems coincidental. Maybe he starts hanging out with the same group of friends, taking the same route as you, or appearing at events he never used to attend. If you mention a plan in passing, he might casually say, "Oh, I was thinking of going there too," even if it wasn't originally on his schedule. Another sign is how he stretches out small interactions. If you're talking, he finds ways to keep the conversation going, even if it's about something simple. When it's time to say goodbye, he lingers, acting like there's just one more thing he needs to say. If you work or study together, he might accidentally need help with something, just to have an excuse to be around you longer. Sometimes, he even offers to help with things that don't concern him, just to create time with you. Whether it's offering to walk you home, help with a project, or wait with you for a ride, these little gestures show that he enjoys your company more than he admits. Even if he hasn't confessed his feelings, his actions make it clear. He's drawn to you and looks for every opportunity to be near. His body language shows interest. When a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, his body language often reveals more than his words. Even if he tries to hide his feelings, his subconscious actions will give him away. Body language is an unspoken way of expressing emotions, and when someone is interested in you, their body naturally reacts in ways they can't always control. One of the biggest signs is how he positions himself when he's around you. If he constantly faces you, leans in when you talk, or mirrors your movements, it shows he's fully engaged with you. His body naturally gravitates toward you, even in group settings. You might also notice that he angles his feet in your direction, a psychological sign of interest. Eye contact is another major giveaway. If he maintains deep eye contact with you, it means he's focused on you and wants to create a connection. On the other hand, if he looks at you, then quickly looks away when you catch him, it's a sign that he's trying to hide his feelings. Either way, his eyes will always find their way back to you. Other small but meaningful gestures include fixing his appearance when you're around, adjusting his hair, straightening his clothes, or standing up taller. He wants to look his best in front of you, even if he doesn't realize he's doing it. Additionally, if he finds excuses to lightly touch you, like brushing against your hand or playfully nudging your shoulder, it's a strong sign of attraction. Even if he hasn't confessed his feelings, his body language speaks for him. The way he looks at you, leans toward you, and reacts to your presence all reveal what his heart hasn't yet found the courage to say. 7. He remembers small details about you. When a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, one of the clearest signs is that he remembers the small details about you. Unlike casual acquaintances who might forget things you've mentioned, he pays close attention to everything you say and stores it in his memory. It's his way of showing that you matter to him. even if he can't put his feelings into words. You might casually mention your favorite coffee order once, and the next time you're together, he surprises you with it. Or maybe you told him about a childhood memory, a favorite song, or a dream you have, and weeks later, he brings it up in conversation. This shows that he listens intently and values what you share with him. Even the smallest things, like how you like your food, a hobby you enjoy, or a random fact about your pet, stick in his mind. He might say things like, "I remember you said you love sunsets," or "Didn't you mention you have an important test today?" These little moments prove that he's paying extra attention to you, even when it seems like a minor detail. Sometimes he might use this knowledge to make you smile. If he remembers that you love a certain type of chocolate, he might casually bring it for you one day. If he recalls that you were nervous about an event, he'll check in and ask how it went. These thoughtful gestures aren't just random. They're signs of someone who truly cares. His ability to remember small details about you shows that you hold a special place in his heart. Even if he's too scared to confess his feelings, his actions silently express what his words don't. 8. He gets jealous but hides it. When a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, jealousy is one of the biggest signs, but he'll try to hide it. Even though he doesn't openly express his feelings, his reaction when you talk about other guys or spend time with someone else reveals a lot. He might pretend it doesn't bother him, but his subtle actions say otherwise. One of the first signs of hidden jealousy is a shift in his mood. If you mention another guy, his smile may fade slightly. His responses may become shorter, or he might suddenly seem distracted. He won't want to show that he's upset, so he may try to act uninterested or change the subject quickly. In some cases, he may even joke about it, saying something like, "Oh, is he your new best friend now?" while laughing it off. Another common reaction is that he starts acting different toward the guy in question. Even if he doesn't say anything, his attitude might change. He could become colder, less friendly, or subtly competitive. He may suddenly start talking about his own achievements or try to prove that he's better in some way. It's his way of unconsciously showing that he wants to be the one who stands out to you. Sometimes he'll try to distract himself by acting distant. He might stop texting as much or seem less engaged in conversations, hoping that you'll notice and wonder why. He doesn't want to admit that he's jealous, so he tries to suppress his emotions by pretending he doesn't care. Even though he hides it, jealousy is a strong indicator of deeper feelings. His reactions may be small, but if you pay attention, you'll see that he's struggling with emotions he's not ready to confess yet. 9. He supports you silently. When a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, he often shows his feelings through silent support. He may not always express his emotions with words, but his actions quietly reveal how much he cares. Instead of grand romantic gestures, he helps you in subtle ways, ensuring that you feel supported without expecting anything in return. You might notice that he's always there when you need help, even without asking. Whether it's assisting with a project, giving you advice, or just being present when you're feeling down, he steps in naturally. He pays attention to your struggles and finds ways to make things easier for you, even if it means putting his own needs aside. Another sign of his silent support is that he remembers what's important to you and encourages you without making a big deal out of it. If you have an important exam, he might casually check in and say, "Good luck today." If you're nervous about something, he reassures you with a simple, "You've got this." These small yet meaningful words show that he genuinely cares about your success and happiness. He also defends you in situations where you're not around. If someone speaks negatively about you, he's the one who stands up for you, even if he doesn't tell you about it. His loyalty speaks volumes about his feelings. Even when he's going through his own struggles, he still makes sure you're okay. He might not openly express his emotions, but his quiet presence, thoughtful actions, and constant support reveal his true feelings. While he may not have the courage to confess his love yet, his actions prove that he cares deeply, more than words ever could. 10. He struggles to express his feelings. When a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, one of the biggest signs is that he struggles to express his feelings. He may want to tell you how he feels, but something holds him back. Whether it's fear of rejection, uncertainty about your feelings, or just his own shyness. This inner conflict often shows in his actions and the way he interacts with you. You might notice that he hesitates when trying to say something important. He starts a sentence but then stops midway, changes the subject, or laughs it off like it wasn't serious. Sometimes he may look like he wants to say something, but then chooses to stay silent instead. His words don't always match his emotions, and even though his actions show he cares, he struggles to put those emotions into words. Another sign is that he acts differently depending on the situation. When you're alone, he might be more open and comfortable, but as soon as other people are around, he becomes reserved or distant. He's afraid of making his feelings obvious, so he hides them behind casual conversations or playful teasing. He may even act cold or indifferent at times, just to cover up how much he actually likes you. Even when you give him opportunities to express his feelings, he may avoid them. If you ask him directly about his thoughts on love or relationships, he might give vague answers or turn the question back to you. It's not because he doesn't care. It's because he's afraid of revealing too much. His struggle to express his feelings doesn't mean he doesn't have them. In fact, it's often the opposite. His emotions run so deep that he doesn't know how to handle them. Even though he hasn't said the words out loud, his hesitation, nervousness, and unspoken emotions reveal the truth. He's falling for you, but he just doesn't know how to tell you. 11. He smiles more. When you're around. When a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, one of the most natural and undeniable signs is how often he smiles around you. Even if he tries to hide his feelings, his happiness in your presence is something he can't control. His face lights up when you enter the room, and his smiles become more frequent, genuine, and effortless whenever you're near. You might notice that even when he's having a rough day, his mood shifts when he sees you. His expressions soften, and even the smallest interaction with you brings a noticeable change in his energy. His smiles aren't just polite or forced. They're filled with warmth, showing that being around you makes him genuinely happy. Another sign is that he smiles at things you say, even the little ones. If you crack a joke, he laughs wholeheartedly, even if it wasn't that funny. When you're talking about something you love, he smiles just watching you get excited. Sometimes he may even smile to himself after a conversation with you, as if reliving the moment in his head. Even in group settings, his smiles for you are different from the ones he gives others. You might catch him grinning at you from across the room or smiling to himself when he hears your voice. If you make eye contact, he might smile instinctively before quickly looking away, trying not to make it obvious. His constant smiles around you are a reflection of his feelings. Even if he hasn't said anything, his face gives him away, because when someone is falling for you, just being around you is enough to make them happy. 12. He acts different. When you talk about other guys, when a guy is secretly falling for you but afraid to confess, his reaction to you talking about other guys is a major giveaway. Even if he tries to act like it doesn't bother him, his body language, tone, and overall behavior will show otherwise. Since he hasn't expressed his feelings yet, he doesn't have the right to openly show jealousy, but that doesn't mean he doesn't feel it. One of the first signs is a shift in his mood. If he was laughing or engaged in conversation, he might suddenly go quiet or seem less enthusiastic. His responses might become shorter, and he may start looking away as if he's distracted. It's his way of trying to hide how much it affects him. Some guys react with subtle sarcasm or jokes. He might say something like, "Oh, so he's your new favorite now," or "Wow, should I be worried?" while forcing a smile. It may seem playful, but deep down, he's testing the waters to see if this guy is actually important to you. Others might try to change the subject quickly, steering the conversation away from the guy you mentioned. He doesn't want to dwell on it because it makes him uncomfortable, even if he won't admit it. In some cases, he might even start comparing himself to the guy, subtly trying to prove that he's better in some way. If he's feeling really insecure, he may withdraw completely. He might start acting distant or seem less engaged in the conversation, almost as if he's shutting down. He doesn't want to show that it bothers him, so he creates emotional space instead. His reactions might be small, but they speak volumes. Even though he hasn't confessed his feelings, the way he acts when you talk about other guys reveals the truth. He wishes it were him you were talking about instead.